after this experience, my perspective of life and the afterlife has always changed. You may ask why I mentioned the afterlife part. Well, you may understand that later on. But as for to mention this, after this experience, I have mentioned this what I went through to some people, like close friends and family, and most of my friends or family, they don't believe me in this story. In fact, at first, I didn't even believe any of this myself. You may understand why, though. I should also mention my name is Bailey. When this happened, I was 25 years old. This happened around the summer of 2018 in the state of Oregon. I'm an average hiker. Ever since I was younger, like in my early teens, I always enjoyed to walk around in the woods with family or friends, or sometimes by myself. But when I was in my 25th year's age, I decided to one day to just to walk around by myself. I always bring a backpack with some snacks and just a first aid kit just in case if I need it. And so far, I haven't been able to use much of the first aid kit, maybe for some scratches, but this particular experience, it really scared me. This happened in early noon. I was living by myself at the time though, and I took my car. I drove out to town because just a couple of days before this, I had did some research of this smaller national park where I live. I'm not going to include the name of it just for privacy. So I did some research about this trails of this particular national forest. So I went there, parked my car, left, and went in the trail. And of course, this trail had always been marked where the trails are leading. I, I did arrive around 11 a.m. and I did have mentioned to my family and friends that I would be out today. So if they wouldn't have to reach me, I would have my phone with me. But boy, I was so naive because eventually my phone wouldn't work. Well, it would work, but I later learned that the part of it I was had no service, no single bar whatsoever. But anyways, I was in the woods and it was around maybe just lunchtime or something like that when I had a brief lunch and I did occasionally encounter other hikers and we were just small talk and just what they had seen, but I was looking forward to see that. But you know, anyways, I was walking around and I saw this smaller trail off the main lead of the part of the trail. I thought maybe I should try to get some off the trail, maybe just for a little bit to see what the other part of the woods could show me. So I took it, which were my biggest mistake in my life so far. And I found that this trail was actually a bit a smaller one compared to main lead ones. Anyways, I follow it and follow it, and after a while, I took another trail and another one. And that continued for at least a while. And I found a small creek in the woods. It was beautiful. There was like a small clearing with this beautiful creek in the middle. It was beautiful. And the birds singing, it was just so beautiful. But I decided maybe it was time to go back to the main trail, but then they hit me. I didn't even know where I actually came from. I mean, since this trail was not even marked, I should have paid attention to exactly where this trail went. Even though I'm an average outdoor person and I've done hiking before, but this was the first time I ever started feeling a little bit panic. But I remember what my dad told me. Don't panic. Always stay calm. Try to backtrack yourself if at the best as to best ability you can. So I did. And even if I tried, I thought I did recognize some part of the trail I came from, but unfortunately I didn't. Instead of getting closer to the main trail, I was even getting further and further away. And eventually, as my time on my watch showing, it was then 5 p.m. I've been walking for hours, and I know that eventually it will get dark soon. And I tried my phone, but like I said earlier, it was no service. I was hoping to just, just one bar would be enough to me to call for park ranger service, but nothing. And I also knew that my phone wouldn't even last for long. So I had to either turn it complete off or have it in a play mode just in case to save the battery. But it wasn't until like 7:30 or something like that when I was just to look at my phone and it completely died on me. I had used and wasted all the battery for that. Now I was complete panic. I didn't even have a flashlight with me. In fact, I didn't even know where I was. At the time, I didn't even know if I was just only 100 feet away from the main trail, if I was even 2 or maybe 4 miles away from it. In fact, I was middle of nowhere. This national forest, even if it was a small one, it was but big enough to get lost in it. As soon as the sun went down, the woods were complete pitch black. I was scared. But I did have a small flashlight with me, just in case if something would happen. But it didn't last long either. I forgot to change the batteries in it. It only lasted for maybe just an hour or two or something like that. So, and after that, my my watch showed me it was about maybe eventually almost 10 p.m. And I was so lost in the woods and I felt so worried, concerned, and panicked all the same time. I sat down on this rock and started crying. I mean, who wouldn't even be in this such panic? Even though I remember my dad's words, but at this point, it was completely useless. I mean, I didn't even know where I was. I didn't even have a map. My phone was dead, and I didn't even had a flashlight. And I didn't even know where exactly in the woods I were. Even though I did mention to my family friends I was gonna be out this day, but since I lived alone, I would be probably want to be. It would have been like maybe just in 2 or 3 days before anyone even noticed I was gone. And as I was sitting there, I heard some sounds. If someone was walking or something, I was scared this maybe could have been a bear or maybe a cougar or something. But I did hear this was footsteps of 2 feet. So I thought maybe not a cougar or a mountain lion, maybe a bear. But bears don't usually walk long distance in on 2 legs. But then I heard a voice call out, "Hey, who's there?" It's a person. Maybe there was a rescue service that have found me. But as it's getting closer and closer, I saw it was a young man. A young man probably around my age. and like brown hair, blue eyes, and he was quite handsome. He saw me and I was like, so, I'm lost. Can you help me? He smiled and said, of course. What's your name? Bailey. What's yours? My name is Julian. Come on. I can show you a quick, fast. I can show you a fast way to find the part of the main trail. I nodded and get up, even though he was a complete stranger, but he was the first person I'd seen in hours. And normally, from perspective, most people should probably ask for more help. I asked him if he was part of park rangers. He said no. I asked him if he was part of some sort of rescue team. He said no. He was just another hiker, but he has a camp nearby, and he heard me crying, and he felt maybe just if I could find me, if he could find me, take me back to the main trail and let me go. So during the time when we was just walking, we small talked. We talked about our common hobbies, things like that. And after a while, I started feeling tired. But I remember I had some small snacks left in my backpack, and I took it. I even offered to give some to him, but he said he politely declined. He told me that he just had finished his dinner only a few hours ago. So, after a while, he finally showed me the main trail. I was like, finally, thank you. How can I thank you? But he said, you don't have to. But only that you remember this time. What? Always remain on main trails. Don't pass on the side trails like that again. Because I did mention that to him what happened. I promise. And before he would turn around to walk back to his camp, he told me, if I would happen to find someone else lost, to return the favor as he did for me. I said thanks, and I promised I would. Then he walked off, and soon he was gone off my view. I even told him exactly where to go to find the nearest either parking lot or nearest park ranger station, and he pointed right downwards from my right, which I did. I walked, I don't know exactly, maybe just in half an hour, when suddenly some lights and three people walked up to me, and they were park rangers. They asked me if I was okay, because they found out that I was alone, because some park other visitors had said they saw a young lady and they hadn't seen had returned. So, and since my car was still in the parking lot, so they went to search for me. And it took me back to the park ranger station, and they asked me how I found my way back. I told them the truth, that a young man showed me the way back. They looked curious, and I said he was not another park ranger, or he wasn't even, well, even a rescue team. They asked me if I could describe him. As I was about to do that, I noticed, wait, that's him. I pointed on the wall behind him. There was a poster of a young man named Julian. Wait, him? That's not possible, said one of the park rangers. What do you mean? This young man, he was found dead last year. What? I said, trembling. And the park ranger explained that Julian, which was his name, was a hiker, but he was actually lost. Well, he was reported missing in the woods about a year ago. They found him that he had fallen off a cliff and broken his neck, and he was dead when they found him. I couldn't even believe it. They asked me more details if it was the same man that I saw, and I confirmed every single time. And then another chilling shiver shocked that they told me. I'm not the first one who said this. Apparently, throughout this, since last year into this year, A couple of hikers who had occasionally happened when lost, they were shown back to main trail by a young man, and every single one pointed out Julian as the one leading back. I couldn't even believe it. I asked him if it is possible that maybe that he did survive and that he or it was someone looked like him. But no, it was definitely him. After that, I was allowed to go home, and the next day when I went over to my parents' house, I informed them what happened, and my parents freaked out. But my dad told me, "Did you remember the words I told you when you were younger?" I did, but unfortunately it didn't work. But then I explained, a young man saved me. He showed me the way back. My mom smiled and said, maybe you should invite him for dinner and thank him." But then I went silent. My mom asked, "What's the matter?" "That might be hard to believe, Mom, but you can't." "Why not?" she asked. Well, then I explained. My mom and dad looked at each other and they started laughing. "Aren't you telling us a joke?" But they should know one thing. I am not the person that usually tells jokes or pranks like that. Even though they looked I was serious, I was even pale when I telling them that. At least my parents believed me. But other relatives that I've been telling the story to, like my uncles and a few cousins and a few friends, they didn't believe me. They just laughed it off and thought maybe there was just another hiker, but he didn't want to be found. Maybe his was a hiker, or maybe one of those off the grid people that prefer to living off the grid, not want to be part of that modern society anymore. And in a sense, it makes sense that there could have been a case of that. But I couldn't forget about this moment. The same day after I left my parents' house and went home, I went to my computer to find if there was any mention of any young hiker that passed away or died in this national park. And sure enough, local news articles showed a story of a young hiker named Julian, 26. He was apparently only 1 year older than me. That he passed away, that he died in an accident. There was even shown the same photo of Julian. My jaw dropped to the floor. I couldn't believe it. I was talking and walking alongside a ghost. But at least I felt safe. I felt comfortable around him. And I did look up more other recent articles or comments about this. People said the same thing, that this young man helped them to find their way back to the main trail, and they felt comfortable. But afterwards they felt scared after they found out the truth, but felt relieved, but also felt sorrow that his spirit is not trapped in these woods. But I think maybe his spirit is remaining in this in the woods to act like a guardian angel to help other hikers, to help them to find a way back, so they wouldn't even suffer similar fate as him. I couldn't believe it. And even though he was local, I did pay a visit to his family, telling them about this. And I did mention that his girls telling me that he loved his family so much, and that they were the best family that he ever could ask for. And they told me that I was not the first one who done this, but they appreciated telling them about this. So Julian, I hope that your spirit always will help other hikers. Thank you for listening.